We have a great matchup as the Kansas City Chiefs are taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in Kansas City. This is your Week 2 2024 prediction and preview video. Hit subscribe if you're new. Also hit the like button. Let's start off with the home team, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're coming off a tough win last week against the Baltimore Ravens. They beat the Ravens by a toe. Literally, Isaiah Likely had his toe out of bounds, and that's how the game ended. They won the game 27-20, and the Kansas City Chiefs look good. They did look a little bit rusty here and there, but every team did on week 1, and they worked through it as the game went on. Patrick Mahomes on the day, he was phenomenal, and he was efficient. 20 of 28, 291 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown to 1 interception, and he only got sacked twice. And we all know about this with Patrick Mahomes. He is great against the blitz, and he's great against pressure. He's going to find a way to get outside the pocket, and that's when all hell breaks loose, especially with his special connection with Travis Kelce and with Rashee Rice as well. Isaiah Pacheco last week only averaged 3 yards a carry, but he had a very good game. He had 45 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, and he had 2 catches that went for 33 yards. We already know about Isaiah Pacheco, one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. He runs hard as hell, and he's going to go out there and break a lot of tackles. Against this Bengals team, run the football. Last week, they struggled to stop Ramondre Stevenson. He did have 2 fumbles on the day. He lost one of the fumbles running up the middle of the defense. But when I look at the Bengals defense, they have a tough front 7 and a tough secondary. But they always start off slow in the beginning of the regular season. And that has been a pattern since Zach Taylor has been the head coach. Their defense is not bad on paper, and I'm not saying that, but the Kansas City Chiefs have a way with running the football. Look at this play, for example, with Xavier Worthy. They had a motion going on here. They got the Ravens defensive line to go one way, and the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line went the other way, and Xavier Worthy walks in for a free rushing touchdown. And he also had another play in this game that was a beautiful deep bomb from Patrick Mahomes to Xavier Worthy. It was miscommunication by the Baltimore Ravens, but Xavier Worthy has that elite speed that is similar to Tyreek Hill. And we know what he was able to do with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce playing alongside him. One thing the Chiefs did a great job of last week was use that motion. Majority of their big plays came off of motion. And they're going to do the same thing in this game against the Bengals. Now, the Bengals, they have a lot of good players on defense. But if you can go out there and get them confused and get some miscommunication, and you have guys crossing their face like Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, or even a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster, you're going to be in a very good situation. And Juju Smith-Schuster last week did not do much. Be on the lookout for him in this game. He signed a couple weeks ago, so he's not acclimated into the brand new system because a lot has changed since he was last with the Chiefs. A lot of plays are not the same. But be on lookout for him in the goal line and red zone situations. And the same with Travis Kelce. Did not do much last week, but we know that Travis Kelce can go out there and he can dictate an entire game. The Kansas City Chiefs weapons are completely different from what they were last season. Guys cannot catch. They cannot run the right routes. You now look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They are deep, and they're going to be doing this without Hollywood Brown for a second week in a row as he is still recovering from that shoulder injury that he suffered against the Jacksonville Jaguars in the preseason. So the key to victory here is to use that motion, get the Cincinnati Bengals defenders very confused, feed Rashee Rice, and also get Xavier Worthy going. It's pretty simple what the Chiefs are going to try to do against the Cincinnati Bengals. They have struggled against them in the past, but this is a completely different Chiefs team, and they have been healthier over the last couple of years than what they were years ago when they would go against the Cincinnati Bengals. I also look at the offensive line for the Chiefs. I'm looking at those 2 tackles. I know what the big 3 can do on the offensive line. I'm talking about Creed Humphrey, one of the best centers in the NFL. Joe Tooney, a very good left guard. Trey Smith, a very good right guard. They may have the best interior in all of the NFL, to be honest with you guys. But when I look at the tackles, I'm still concerned. You look at Jawan Taylor. Played solid last week. Did have a penalty. But he also has some plays that make you scratch your head and say, okay, he's still struggling. And you have a rookie in Kingsley at the left tackle position. We'll see what he can do at that position. He had a lot of good moments and a lot of bad moments last week as well. But as long as they can run the football, they can work off that motion, and the wide receivers can catch, The Chiefs offense, they're going to have a very good day against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. And I'm not saying that the Bengals can't play defense. I'll talk more about their defense later on in the video. When I look at the defense for the Kansas City Chiefs, they did a very good job last week of stopping the run with Derrick Henry. And you did have Lamar Jackson. He was able to go out there and have 122 rushing yards. But I do want to point out one linebacker, Leo Chenal. He went out there. He played the quarterback spy very well. He did the best that he could against Derrick Henry and against Lamar Jackson, especially in those read option situations. He was a stud last week. And I think you're starting to see another guy that's going to develop into being a star with them at that linebacking spot, playing alongside Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquil as well. When I look at the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs, it's one of the best defenses in the NFL. Even last season, they had one of the best defenses. And they had to lean on that defense last year. Steve Spagnuolo is one of the best defensive minds. He's going to have a great scheme to try to go out there and slow down the Cincinnati Bengals. Just because the Bengals go out there and they may get to a slow start, don't play them like they're below level. Joe Burrow is still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They still have Jamar Chase. T. Higgins is questionable to play this game with a hamstring injury, but even if he isn't able to play, I think that Trent McDuffie is going to see a heavy load of Jamar Chase. They're going to have him trail him around, and that's what you want to do. Jamar Chase in the past has given the Kansas City Chiefs a lot of problems. I'm talking about major problems. Jamar Chase goes out there and he takes it up to another level. He's already one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Do not let Jamar Chase go out there and dictate this game. Do not let him and Joe Burrow go out there and play pitch and catch. This is where the front seven comes into play. George Karlaftis, Chris Jones are two very good defensive linemen. That pairing is special with the Kansas City Chiefs. And when those guys are able to go back there and put a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterback, that's when the back end can eat. They have good players in the secondary, even without L'Jarius Sneed. We saw that last week. They did a very good job. Now, Isaiah likely did go out there and he had a lot of major plays. That does concern me. But at the same time, that's a tight end. That's different from a wide receiver. I trust Trent McDuffie to go out there and slow down Jamar Chase. I don't think that he can just fully go out there and just shut him down. Jamar Chase and I had the best week last week, but that's just one game. I think that Trent McDuffie will do a very good job in terms of containing him. But you have guys like Justin Reed and Brian Cook. They have to be better if you want to match them up on a tight end in this situation. Lucky for the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't think that Mike Gesicki can go out there and have a game like how Isaiah likely did last week, but you really never know. It's really any given Sunday, Thursday or Monday, depending on when your team plays. But I like the defense as a whole with the Kansas City Chiefs. The secondary stepped up big last week. They had a couple plays, like I mentioned before, to where it made you scratch your head and say, okay, what's going on here? But that was bound to happen because it was week one. You're still playing through the motion. Now let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Last week was an interesting week. They lost to the New England Patriots. And on paper, that shouldn't have happened. You have returning Joe Burrow, who is coming back from that wrist injury that he suffered last season against the Baltimore Ravens. And then you also have Jamar Chase, the whole saga. Will he play? Will he not play? He was a game time decision because he wants that contract extension. He hasn't practiced as much as you would wanted him to because of that contract situation. And I'm not going to blame the coach for this. Ownership should have been taking care of this situation. We shouldn't be having this bleeding over into the regular season. T. Higgins also wants a contract extension as well. And T. Higgins missed last week with a hamstring injury. With all that being said, they got off to a slow start. They were playing basically dink and dunk football, but Joe Burrow was efficient on the day. He took what the defense gave him. He was 21-29 on the day, 164 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns to 0 interceptions. The Bengals always get off to a slow start in the regular season. And you may say the Chiefs are going to blow them out. I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals were just playing through the motions last week. They played down the competition. They're going to play up here. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Zach Moss was able to give you some good plays last week, but you were still expecting more from him and Chase Brown. You have to find a way to protect Joe Burrow up front. He got sacked 3 times last week. This is a quarterback that has been beat up a lot in his career, and he is still a very young player. The offensive line has to step up. They have to buy him time and feed Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase last week only had 6 catches, and he was limited because he hasn't practiced as much. Feed him. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, he's went out there and he has had career games against the Kansas City Chiefs and career moments against the Chiefs. Go out there. They're going to have Trent McDuffie on him, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. But Jamar Chase is one of the best wide receivers. Get him going early. If T. Higgins is able to play, obviously that's going to be great because he is basically another number one wide receiver. But he is in question, still recovering from the hamstring injury. Regardless if he's able to play or not, they're going to need their other wide receivers to step up. They no longer have Tyler Boyd, who was solid in the slot last season. He did have a lot of moments where he'll drop the football like how he did against the Houston Texans, but he was a consistent guy that you can depend on. Right now, you don't have another wide receiver besides a guy like Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. I'm looking at Jermaine Burton. Give him an opportunity to go out there and to be a very good playmaker. He's a rookie out of Alabama. He can go out there. He can be single coverage. You also have Trenton Irwin as well. I think that he can go out there and he can be a very good player. He had a couple of plays last year that made you say, okay, there's something there. He's not a true number one or a true number two, but those guys need to contribute. And the same with Mike Gesicki. They need to give you more. But I'm looking at Zach Taylor here. How will his play calls look against Steve Spagnuolo? Last week, they went out there and they did a lot of dink and dunk plays. And like Joe Burrow said, I'm taking what the defense gives me. You can't do that in this game because the Kansas City Chiefs, they're not going to blitz Joe Burrow much. And I don't advise either team to blitz either quarterback in this game as much. Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz, and the same with Joe Burrow. But they can generate a lot of pressure with their original front four guys. You just can't do dink and dunk football and expect for your playmakers to make plays in space. Your offensive line has to hold up long enough to give Joe Burrow the opportunity to take those deep shots down the field. It was really no excuse to why they did not try to go out there and make halftime adjustments last week against the Patriots. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful towards the Patriots, but when you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow, you let him sling the football around. There is no reason to why Joe Burrow should average 7.8 yards a throw. That makes zero sense. Zach Moss averaged 5 yards a carry on only 9 carries, and Chase Brown's a very speedy running back. He can make some big plays. You can do some plays with him behind the line of scrimmage, but I want to see more play action. I just want to see more creativity coming from Zach Taylor. Hopefully, T. Higgins can really play in this game so we can get a true matchup between these two great teams. When I look at the defense of the Cincinnati Bengals, they're very good. Logan Wilson was phenomenal last week. He had 13 total tackles and 1 tackle for loss. The man was flying around, and he forced a fumble on Ramondre Stevenson as well. They did let Ramondre Stevenson go out there and have 25 carries for 120 yards. They did a very good job against the pass game, and that was a weakness of the Bengals last season because they had a lot of young players that are still learning. But the front seven, they have to step up and they have to watch out for the motion because if you don't, Andy Reid will have the defensive line going one way, and the next thing you know, Xavier Worthy or Rashee Rice is going the other way. They're about gaining leverage. Don't let them gain that leverage on you. Stick in your stance, follow the wide receiver in the motion, and don't panic. It was too many times last week to where the Baltimore Ravens panicked and they just fell for the play action or they fell for the fake reverse, and it bit them in the end. Had to pay attention to that motion. Sam Hubbard is a very good defensive lineman. Trey Hendrickson is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Get after Patrick Mahomes. You're going to have to do this without blitzing as much. I can't say that enough. Both of these quarterbacks, they kill against the blitz. They don't just get 10 to 15 yards. They get 50 to 60 yards type of touchdown plays out of the blitz if you're not careful. And they can identify that at the line of scrimmage. Now, Coach Lou, who is the defensive coordinator for the Bengals, in the past, he's done a very good job against Patrick Mahomes. The defensive line has done a very good job in terms of containing him. And the secondary has done a very good job in terms of containing guys like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to make sure that they don't cross their face. Do the same thing here. But I'm looking at Daxton Hill. Daxton Hill played safety last year. Wasn't the best in that role at the cornerback position. This is where he is truly at. This is where he can really go out there and he can shine the most. Cam Taylor-Britt, I like him a lot at the cornerback position. You have Mike Hilton in the slot as well. Geno Stone is a former player for the Baltimore Ravens. He had 7 interceptions last year. Pay attention to him in this game and watch how he may try to hover over a guy like Xavier Worthy or Travis Kelce. He's going to be that safety help for you. You also have You have Geno Stone and Von Bell. You also have Von Bell, who's a very good, strong safety. So overall, this is going to be a very good football game. Even though the Bengals usually go out to a slow start, they play the Chiefs very tough, and the Chiefs play them tough as well. This is going to be a great matchup. With that being said, I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs here. And I think the Chiefs win this game like how they won last week by a touchdown, 27-20. And it can really go either way. But let me know in the comment section below which team are you taking in this matchup, the Kansas City Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens. The Kansas City Chiefs or the Cincinnati Bengals, excuse me. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, we want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.